Hello, my name is Devin Norris. This game is beautiful. Prepare to cry. Hello, my name is Devin Norris. This game is beautiful. Prepare to cry. Hello, my name is Devin Norris. This game is beautiful. Prepare to cry.
What's up, guys? I'm in a mood because it's been a long weekend. 2 soccer games, church with kids, lots of other stuff, family obligations. I'm tired, and this is a double of tequila. Not just straight tequila, it's margarita. This is margarita, not on the rocks, because there's no rocks in there or ice cubes. It is just refreshing. Casamigos Blanco, Grand Marnier, fresh squeezed lime juice, and homemade simple syrup. Delicious. If you couldn't tell from the large box in front of me, the time has come, the day has arrived. Burncycle is here. This is the latest game from Chip Theory Games. I have a special fondness and appreciation for Chip Theory. I think they're one of the best publishers in the business, and I'm not saying this because they sent me a free game to look at. I'm saying this because they genuinely reflect a lot of the values or morals that I care about. They are compassionate and giving and excited and engaged with the community. Frequently, these games are premier board games in terms of the cost, in terms of the luxification of the components, in terms of the sumptuous experience. This is a lot. Too Many Bones is a lot. Cloudspire is a lot, which I have the update pack for, which I almost ran over with my van. Thank goodness Quartermaster Logistics packs very well, and that it was a small box inside of a big box. But they're just fantastic people over at Chip Theory. I first came to know them as a little-known reviewer, not known at all reviewer, let's be real. Not known at all reviewer over on Game Tyrant, and I reached out and said, hey, your games look amazing, I'd love to review them. And they said, that's fair, but they're really expensive and costly to ship. We typically try not to send out to people that we don't necessarily just know straight off the bat, because sometimes we've been burned in the past where people have just taken the game and not done any content for it. Totally understand that. So I got Too Many Bones at a discount, and I paid for half of it myself. And then I showed that I went through the effort to play the game, learn the game, review it. And then when Cloudspire came around, they're like, hey, we're doing a new printing of this. We're doing a new campaign. We're happy to send you one of the original printings, and we'll send that for free since you have shown the initiative that you've taken to doing the content. And I was like, sounds great. I would love to review Cloudspire. So then I reviewed Cloudspire, and I've got the update pack for it, which means my version is now updated and just as new as the second printing base box. And then this is the first time where they have just sent me the game, and they sent it to me ahead of time, not ahead of some of the bigger content creators, but they chose me and were kind enough to send me a review copy when they definitely didn't have to. And I've actually demoed this game. The unique thing about Chip Theory Games in terms of what most of the content creators, or not content creators, in terms of what most of the publishers do, is when they go to crowdfunding, a lot of publishers or designers or development teams are pretty much very close to being done with the game, and they might make tweaks based off of feedback, and they might go back to the drawing board a couple times on certain aspects of a game, but they really they're not in the thick of development, which is more so what Chip Theory does. They say, hey, we're still making this thing. Do you believe in it? And then backers, respond, and they give feedback. And there are a lot of people who do believe in them because Too Many Bones has diehard fans. Cloudspire does not have the big popularity that Too Many Bones does, but I think the fans of it might be more hardcore than the Too Many Bones fans. I actually think that Cloudspire is a more difficult game than Too Many Bones, more intricate, I think, at the end of the day. And I'm looking this way because the update pack is right there, and I'm going to film another video with it probably after this one. But it's really elegant. There's deep asymmetry there with all of the factions, and I don't know. I'm curious which game, once I get into it and I'm able to play more. And with Too Many Bones, I'm getting some new characters. I'm getting some other stuff from the campaign from Unbreakable that's coming. I kind of want to jump into it solo. I just recently got Gilly, and what was his name? The shock wrist martial arts guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he's in the new campaign. I've gotten some gear locks that hopefully are better solo, to where I can have a little bit better experience when I'm trying to use lower player counts as a solo player. But man, yeah, both of them I think have the potential to be absolutely favorite games of mine. But all of that is unnecessary context for some to what this game is. This is Burncycle. This is their newest one, most recent campaign other than their Hoplomachus Victorum, which is a solo-only one. And this is something new. Chip Theory Games has been really dedicated up until now into not retread the same territory. They make new content. They make new content for Too Many Bones. They make new content for Cloudspire. But each successive game tries not to stand on the shoulders of its predecessor. It tries to be its own thing, which I think they've successfully done so far. This is a stealth dungeon crawler. Now, I actually demoed this with Shannon from Chip Theory Games and Alex Radcliffe of Board Game Co. I demoed this before the campaign ever happened. I demoed this a long time ago in terms of development, when they were still trying to balance out the 3 levels, which I still think it's 3 levels, 3 tiers of increasing difficulty as you progress through a tower. But much more different mechanics. You are robots that are essentially rising up against your human oppressors, and you are trying to revolt and change the status quo of being kind of second-class citizens as, robotic servos or servitors, I think is more the term I'm thinking of, if I'm thinking through cyberpunk lore. Anyways, I have monologued a lot without actually having opened it, so let's get into this. It's a big box, guys. This is a big box, and it came inside of a huge box. I was really wondering what had been sent to me. I knew Burncycle was supposed to be on the way, but it was in such a large box that it looked like they had sent 3 copies of Burncycle, which would be absurd. So, oh my gosh, let's get through this box stuff. Oh man, this is meaty, thick box edges, thicker than I'm used to. Oh, that's beautiful. They've got kind of a lot of layered art on the inside of that. I love that. So I will say that my channel currently, logistically, equipment-wise, is not going to do justice to a lot of the games that I'm unboxing, like Townsfolk Tussle, Burncycle. All of the stuff that I do on unboxings is not visually going to maybe give you the oomph that you're looking for, but I still think it's valid. So, and it's something I'll grow to. It's something that I plan to, develop the equipment and the setup for. Very chunky bag. As I mentioned, this is a stealth dungeon crawler. Oh, okay, that's just a desiccant bag. That's good. This is a stealth dungeon crawler. You are robots, but you really don't want to fight the human patrols, guards, security members and stuff. You really don't want to fight them because it's going to be difficult if you do. But I will say, once again, back in action are the neoprene mats that they are used to. I will say they've got similar cutouts for dice like Too Many Bones has. They have similar cutouts for those kind of plastic pips that Cloudspire has. And then they've got something new that's not usual to Too Many Bones or Cloudspire, which is where they have this large kind of inset space where you can put your robotic, whatever robots you're playing, those mats can go in there. But they've also got, so Too Many Bones is more of an abstract battler, and it's not really a visual immersive environment that you're going through. You've got a battle map, it's with battle cues, and you have ranged spots, melee spots, spawn points, and then you just move on that 5x5 or 4x4 grid, and that's how you fight, is spatially within that. It's not necessarily like a hex grid, but Cloudspire is a hex grid, and you move through there in kind of almost a tower defense fashion where you move in the most efficient pathing to the other person's tower. And then this, though, is where they have deviated to a new level, and it is like grid-based movement. And there's small pips here for doors and stuff like that, but you actually build out the scenario, and you can't really see that, but you connect the locations to each other according to whatever scenario or map setup you've got going on, and you build out your terrain. So it's going to be much more in the vein of, I just recently played Earth Under Siege Flashpoint, and I've played in the past, I've played Gloomhaven, and it's going to be much more that where you build out a visual place, and that's the like tableau under which your experience occurs, is this visual, cyberpunk setup. And so you got all these mats, these neoprene mats set up, the locations that you've got here, and I think that's maybe supposed to go there. That's maybe supposed to go there. And so they've got like nice little counter boxes. So nice little, if you have not ever experienced Chip Theory games production, they are just about they're up there with the highest quality in the industry. Many people would argue that they've set the bar for premium component quality in the industry. They've got their neoprene mats. They've got the plastic pieces aren't as much, but they've also got, what am I trying to think of right now? They've got poker chips. Duh. They've got poker chips. So these are the setups here. I think we'll put that right there. Pretty effective inset of plastic storage. A lot of plastic going on. All of these pieces. These are the kinds of things that plug into the map to show you doors, to show you interaction points. You've got a massive neoprene mat here within the box. So that fits within the box. Everything seems like it's pretty well stored right now. Yes, so this is the larger base mat that you set those grid points onto. So they're not loose around the table. They are loose, but they're going to be positioned onto this neoprene mat. So this is the base mat. You kind of have these outer sections, which is where you can spawn and then enter into the encounter and into the place. There's several different things that are going on here. If we're talking about the mechanics of burncycle, there's several different elements that you're juggling. Number one is you are pushing through a digital burncycle where your robots are trying to, you're doing like action mechanic pathing where you're trying to do particular actions without overloading your system, and overloading your system is a negative thing, obviously. Sometimes I think you want to, if it's also difficult because it's a matter of how much this has changed since I demoed it, which was a while ago. But you've got all of these different, so these are all scenarios. Length, my goodness. Yeah, that's quite a bit. So you've got these different corporations. You fight against different corporations. This is a scenario. Length, 1 floor, complexity, 1 out of 3. Length, 1 floor, complexity, 3 out of 3. Length, 2 floors, complexity, 1 out of 3. This is all for this corporation. These orange ones, these green ones are for another corporation, and then these yellow ones are for another corporation. This is massively developed from where I was. I mean, where I was, they just had one 3-level scenario, and that 3-level scenario wasn't balanced. And I think it was need chain, which is I think one of the more entry level of the 3. So they have greatly expanded the play depth of the game so far. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 unique scenarios that you can set up in the game. Capitalize on top of that the combination of robots that you can bring into it, and that creates a lot of versatility and variability in what you're playing. Also, player count, that's going to adjust things wildly if you're trying to do this by yourself, or you have multiple players that are independently controlling what's going on. That's a lot of stuff. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, A decent, wow. So I think they've added maybe, most of these look familiar on the robots. Like you've got processor and access and transmitter and byte. They all have pretty typical names, but there are some that I haven't seen or that I remember from the Kickstarter, but obviously weren't available when I demoed it. Like this sniper, that sounds so much like me. That reminds me of Garrus from Mass Effect. So these are all of the people you can play. These are all of the scenarios, and these, I believe, are the bosses. You've got the kind of the main people that you will fight over the course of the game. It's pretty crunchy. There's a lot of decision space here. You always have to balance whether it makes more sense to push forward and actually make an engagement with an enemy, whether you want to avoid detection as long as possible before pushing to the next level. Each level, and it's based off of actual elevators on the map that you go find and access. Each level has their own requirements before you can go to those elevators and progress. And so it's kind of up to you how aggressive you are in fighting or evading or whatever combination thereof that you want to ascribe to. Oh my gosh, I haven't taken a timestamp. Timestamp. There's only going to be like 2 timestamps this whole video. But it would not be a chip theory game without chips. And these are the ones for your robots. And these are the ones for, I think all of these are, maybe all of these are based off of your robots, kind of that first stack. Let's see what about these ones though. Oh my gosh, just heavy chips. So these are all ones that are specific to actions that you can do, like computer modules you can interact with, I think. Maybe this one is where most of the enemies are. Or just maybe I don't even know what the game is anymore. That's also valid. Oh, there's stuff under here. I bet there's more. Nope. Yeah, so I bet those are bad guys in there. These look to be all ones of things that you're interacting with in the game, as well as your people, your robots. Oh dear, almost lost that guy. Okay, there we go. First stack of chips. Heavy chips, heavy plastic container. Really, they're just kind of top notch in terms of what they're trying to do with component quality. I guess all these guys can kind of slot down into that. Are you guys, what's your vote on whether you are vertical or horizontal storers? I am 100% horizontal. I feel no need to have physical or vertical storing. I mostly want everything bagged or just organized well. I do feel that strongly. But on the flip side, I don't want all of my stuff on its side, because even if you have it bagged, a lot of times it just makes it like messy, and I don't want rubber bands on there. I just want my stuff vertically stored. And if I feel like with the store, I don't even have as much storage as I want at this house. But even still, I probably have enough to justify the game collection that I need. I could probably continually call bit by bit at this house, which means I should never need to vertically store to justify having more space. There's something else that needs to change first, I think. All right, those are locked in there. This is the burncycle mat, which is where you have a physical representation of the digital processing and so loud. Ugh. You are constantly going around these concentric circles, jumping from circle to circle, getting to that more innermost ring, and you get advantages the deeper you get into it. But there are also pings or negative digital processes of the enemy that are trying to track you down. And I think if they ever hit you, it resets you and you have to like go back to the outside. This is a physical puzzle that is an addition to the spatial puzzle of the dungeon crawler. So it's another layer that you're having to deal with. Typically, and this is probably one of the bigger nuances in how this is innovating and changing based off of both Cloudspire and Too Many Bones. Too Many Bones is your character building, your gear lock, in order to make it through a really grueling set of experiences and days and encounters. But the spatial puzzle is only, or the environmental spatial puzzle is only on the battle map, really. And then for Cloudspire, it's all located in one spot. You're currently like building up the strength of your faction and of your defenses and of your units, but it's all about keeping at bay the opponent and pushing forward in that pathing mechanism to the other tower. This, though, has a dungeon crawling stealth mechanic and then also a visual puzzle that you're trying to grapple with that's going on in this burn cycle map. So you've got dice locked in, you've got the central node chip that'll go in there, and it's a little bit to think about. And I think that it's one thing that I think is interesting about Chip Theory's games is that they are all very brainy in very different ways. They appeal to maybe a different style or approach of strategic gameplay, and they incorporate those elements very differently from each other. Okay, you got kind of all your cards. So you do have update and upgrade cards. The difficulty that Alex and I had when we played was that, number one, we only played the first level of a scenario when it was still being developed and balanced. And we got like one or two upgrades, but we really didn't get to use them or see the extent of their value because we didn't progress past that point. And also because of some of the just random draws or selections or, previews that we had, they weren't particularly complementary to our character. That's stuff that would evolve and be different the more you play this. It's going to be much more nuanced in how you apply the upgrades and your character growth over the course of the 3 levels as you're moving up. Again, if you don't know, plastic cards, really, really high quality. I think that one of the probably still the most famous review of anything from Chip Theory is the fact that Quinn's from Shut Up and Sit Down poured milk over all of it because it's waterproof and it doesn't tear and stuff like that or wilt. So it's just on another level. I do like, so you can't really see that, but there's a full plastic inset organizer here. And once again, you can't really see it, but it does say, like etched into the bottom of this plastic, it says imperative, mod, equipment, network, and terminal. So these are all of the different cards, and they are slotted into where they go. And it looks like there's enough space that if you want to sleeve it, it will perfectly fit. So for all you sleevers out there, I used to be part of you, but it's just the rate at which I have acquired games in the last year has just made it to where I'm still happy to sleeve them, but the longer I go on, the more I'll probably narrow down some certain permanent ones in my collection. But for right now, I'm not able to play certain games enough to need to sleeve them right now. When I get to that point, I will probably sleeve. So when I say all you people who sleeve, I mean myself too, just not right now. Okay, that all slots in. Another thing, if you're familiar or not familiar with them, is custom dice. And I think they were one of the first people to kind of do that heat transfer. I can't even get them out. They're nicely stuck together. but they've got custom graphics on every single one, and this is much more intense than, I would say the other one that is probably people think about frequently is maybe Dice Throne, but Dice Throne really just has a symbol, and then they've got the number, and they have that on some of these, but some of these are also just purely symbol based. It's not necessarily as simplistic. And that's not to bash Roxley at all. Roxley at all is probably the other publisher I instantly think of when I'm like, oh, massively high quality production value. They're just up there for me as well. Also, a fantastically generous, great publisher that is really invested in being, open and kind to the community on both the consumer side and on the industry side. Yep, I was right. These are all the bad guys. Cool. I'm going to get these bad guys in there. Oh, and then there's more spots inside the bottom of that. So I think I'm actually going to lift this up and separate out the colors a little bit because I had them two different ones had two different colors, and I don't like that if I don't have the need for that. So I'm going to move all the blue over. There are some games that I have unboxed in the last 6 months or so that I have purchased for myself, which means the imperative or the need to have them reviewed is lower because it would really just be for myself or for particular community members, audience members, subscribers that want them. That's not to say that I won't pursue those. That's just to say I'm not going to be as aggressively, planning for them as I am for other stuff. But for people like Chip Theory, who are individuals who have been kind enough to send me stuff like this is a priority for me. So I say that to let you know, as viewers, this is something that I hope to have played soon to where I can give first impressions. I mean, obviously I'm doing an unboxing and I'm talking about it, and I have played it, so I do know to an extent some aspects of it, but it has obviously had a depth of balancing, play testing, adjustment, more development work, so it's in a much more fine-tuned place than when I last encountered it, and I don't want to talk about it extensively or expansively or with any sense of I have context as to the experience without jumping into it. So I wanted you to know that I'm going to be jumping into it. I for sure am excited about this. Too Many Bones, so good. Undertow, I actually think Undertow I know is, it's a standalone, but I think Too Many Bones base was easier for me to grasp than reading through Undertow. I do have the Trove Chest. That is one thing I do enjoy. Cloudspire is the one that I feel like Cloudspire, maybe out of all three of the games, even this and Too Many Bones and all that stuff, and I have the Trove Chest. I have a lot more for Too Many Bones than I do for Cloudspire. Cloudspire is the one that I think I could get lost in. Like, personally, I think I could get lost in it in a good way. But timestamp. The air kicked on, which made that floor vent go off, which pushed the plastic that had fallen on it, made it a little weird. This is definitely one that I want to jump into soon, and I'm going to be reading the rules. And obviously, unboxing helps me get it ready to play because it makes me go, hey, that game doesn't have shrink over it. You should play it. To which I say, yes, I should. You're right. If you have any particular questions about this game, let me know. If you want more just overview information, or if you are curious about some other aspect. Does this slot in? How does this slot in? Oh wait, it went this way, didn't it? Yes, that's how it went in. Yes, whatever you're curious about, please let me know. Like I said, there are certain publishers that I have a soft spot in my heart for because it truly has nothing to do with the fact that they gave me free games. It has to do with the fact that they represent a kind of personality that I care about. And these guys do. I think that'll work there. And that'll work there. Maybe do those go here? They look like they slot in there, even though they do fit kind of well right there. but they look like they go. No, they do not. Well, now I don't know what goes there. That's gonna mess with my mind. It seems there's an inset piece there. This obviously goes there. Do these go right there? Is that their size? No, that's not their size. I don't know what goes there. It looks like something should go there, and it's gonna bother me, but I'll figure it out at a later date. Or never. Yeah. Wow, everything nests pretty well. I think that Too Many Bones in the base box was really tight. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, super much looking forward to jumping into this game. I think that is pretty much all I need to focus on for now. This is a 14 and up, 45-minute per player, 1 to 4 player game. So it is, as Too Many Bones and Cloudspire are, it is a soloable game, which is something I care more and more about, and the more I have to play games. So, I think that's it. Again, I'm a little surprised at how well I was actually able to talk about the game, because that's not my forte all of the time with unboxing. See ya.